Renee Saville, who is a wonderful entrepreneur. And she is, I would say, a young business owner in our community, which is really, really exciting. So Renee, welcome to the program. It's great to have you.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be here.
And wow, so tell me, I guess, first of all, before starting a business and going into this world of home care, first you had to choose healthcare as a profession.
Mhm.
So, tell me about your journey, where you're from and how that began for you.
Yeah, so I born and raised in Berkshire County. I don't know anywhere else besides Berkshire County. When we were younger, we used to actually live in an apartment complex in Dalton. And right across, it's actually the River Run Apartments in Dalton. So right on the other side of the parking lot is the senior housing. And I would be 2, 3 years old and I would run up to the window and I wouldn't be able to say ambulance. It took me forever to be able to say that word. But I would sit up on the couch and I would say, "Look, mommy, ambulance, ambulance." And like I would watch them get put in and out of the ambulance almost regularly. And I just, for whatever reason, enjoyed seeing people that way. And my mom, she's a nurse. So that was like a really big person role model for choosing my career. And then I just kind of really fell into the love of wanting to care for other people. And at first, I wanted to actually take care of pediatrics because I used to help take care of my nephews when they were little. And then my geriatric population love grew when my mom was a nurse and she worked in a nursing home. And I would go every Saturday and Sunday and volunteer 10, 11, 12 years old and play bingo with them, take them outside, read books. I loved going there. And then ever since then, the geriatric population grew really close to my heart.
Yeah, it really is one of those things where and if you have been in this world and working in senior care, there are some buildings that you'll go into and there'll be certified nursing assistants, and those are the individuals who have the most contact with
Mhm.
residents every day. And they have been doing this work for 20, 25, 30 years. And these people are unbelievably just the compassion
Mhm.
that they have. And certainly it's something that you really have to love doing
Yeah.
to make that kind of commitment because it's
Mhm.
not an easy,
Mhm.
easy job.
And when I actually started my healthcare career, I started out as a CNA. I was in nursing school. I was in a 4-year RN BSN program, and I was working full time while going to school full time. And I worked at my very first job in healthcare was Sugar Hill Assisted Living. I was a CNA. I had amazing mentors, and it was an amazing first experience. And then I was a CNA for about 4.5 years. And then I had gotten my LPN. And in LPN school, I was working full time still as a CNA while going to school for my LPN because, life happens and I didn't stay in that 4-year RN program. Um, and so then I graduated at the very top of my class in the LPN program and worked full time in at Mount Carmel Care Center.
Great building.
Yes, it really is. I worked there for about a year and a half in the height of COVID, and I was working full time and had gotten my RN, graduated in the top 10 of my RN class. And that's when I kind of grew out of the nursing home and went into the hospital. And I quickly realized the hospital was not my ideal setting
It is
because
it's so different.
yes, yes. And you don't get that connection with your patients like you do. You don't get time with them, and the ages are all different. And my population passion is truly the geriatric population. And, that's coming and going in all different ages in the hospital.
Right.
Yeah, and Cara, I mean, there is not one family who has not been impacted by aging
Right.
family members. Either they require home care or a nursing home, and in some cases assisted living. But I know
I
both
think
our
my
families have.
grandmother was at Mount Carmel for a little while
Mhm.
until she could find a spot at Kimball Farms, I think is where she was. Can't completely remember, but she passed away in 2018, I believe.
Mhm.
She was in her 90s. So, yeah. it was important for us to find
Absolutely.
a nice place for her. And it was important to her too.
Mhm.
And the differences can be, and I think it's that personal aspect. And I think when it comes to who cares for your loved one, you really want not only someone who has experience, not only someone who has compassion and care, but someone you can trust. And I think all of this is really part of the conversation of why you started your business. Because we were talking before the podcast, and I've been in this industry for a long time, so I kind of know a little bit more than most. And so you have a very clear philosophy on how you are approaching your business, the home care business.
Yes, absolutely. So I feel as though one of the biggest things that really represent our business, it kind of separate us from some of the other bigger agencies that we have in the Berkshires, is that we are locally owned and operated. A lot of these other businesses that we have in here, they're fantastic, but they're large chains, corporations. So the people aren't necessarily versed in what these clients of theirs need necessarily. Whereas I'm an RN, I own the business, and I know firsthand exactly what my clients need and what they don't need and what they would benefit most from. And when I make their plan of care, I know exactly day to day what they are going to need and the best thing to thrive in their home environment and stay in their comfort of their home as long as possible. Definitely being a CNA has also helped me because I understand that the CNAs are really the huge pivotal aspect to our healthcare society. Without them, really, you have no business, because they're the ones doing all the dirty
Right,
work per
right.
se. They're the ones putting in the long hours, doing all the direct care. They're the ones who get beaten on, metaphorically
Yeah.
from families and other people in those clients' lives that are meaningful to them.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, sometimes it's not metaphorically. I mean, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
And especially, and listen, let's be honest about it. When individuals are especially going through dementia, you see changes. You see
Absolutely.
behavioral changes and things like that that can make it a very difficult job. And and so yeah, we've talked about difficult jobs. We talked about teaching. We
Yeah.
talked about over but like the CNA position, the health aide, those LPNs and RNs who are providing direct care. I can't think of anything that is more critical for families and
absolutely.
having that. The other thing, Renee, about this staffing is such a challenge. And in what you do, home care, and I'll let you explain a little bit about exactly what you do because there's a difference between sort of the skilled home care versus the what we call private pay
Yes.
or non-skilled home care. There's that, but then there's not really, I think, a lack of demand out there from patients and families. The challenge is really staffing to a great extent.
So we are a non-medical home care agency. We provide our services throughout Berkshire County. So we provide personal care. So some examples of that would be, dressing, bathing, grooming, ambulation. We provide light housekeeping. So no, we don't mow your yard or rake your leaves, but we will do some vacuuming and sweeping, meal preparation, dishes, any, day-to-day tasks that may be a little more challenging for some of our seniors. And then we also provide companionship. So a lot of that is for the safety of, say, somebody who has a loved one with dementia and they have to go to work throughout the day and they're scared to leave their loved one home alone because they could walk out the door or, turn on the oven and forget it's there.
Yeah.
So we provide the companionship mostly just kind of to build a friendship with those clients. So they're not alone during the day. And a lot of them love that. And then one other thing that we provide that no other home care agency in our area that provides is we have a van that provides transportation. And our goal with the van was to provide medical appointment transportation outside of Berkshire County. Now, we all know that transportation in our area we lack, and we especially lack the ability to move outside of Berkshire County. I know CRT and some of the other ambulance services will go as far as Springfield. However, we have a 500-mile radius. So we have a schedule. A lot of people kind of deviate from the schedule, but that's okay because we try to accommodate people as best as possible. And we can go to Boston, we go to Springfield, we go to Worcester, we go to Albany, we've gone to Connecticut, and we have actually brought several people to like life-threatening specialty appointments outside of Berkshire County. For example, we had one lady who needed to go to Brigham and Women's for a cancer treatment, and there was no other way for her to get there. No one else would provide this critical treatment that she needed, and it was kind of like a one-time thing, very last minute. They called us up. They, were crying. And they said, "Hey, I know that Wednesday you go to Boston, but it's Tuesday. I don't know what to do." We had the van available for that day. So we were able to take her, very last minute, and we brought her to that treatment, and she couldn't be more thankful if she
Yeah,
possibly
That's wonderful.
could try. And it was an amazing feeling knowing that we are
Mhm.
one of the transportation services, even though it's included in the home care, it's still something that's available.
Mhm.
And the great thing is it's not available only to our clients, but it's available to the community. So whether you're a client or not, you have a loved one who needs to go to Bay State for a cardiac appointment, please call up Whole Heart and we will try
Yeah.
our best to transport you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that's thinking, and basically accommodating for the real and responding to the real issues that are right here.
Mhm.
And I think more businesses, ought to be creative like that
Yeah.
in a lot of ways because we're unique here. I mean,
Mhm.
there isn't great transportation here. There
Right.
isn't an opportunity for people to easily hop on a bus or even get an Uber if it's someone who doesn't have disabilities,
Mhm.
the physical challenges, that sort of thing. And of course, then there's the, other services, but they're limited to a great extent. So being able to provide that, that's just, I mean, I hate to say it, thinking outside the box, it's trite
Right.
sometimes when we say that, but it truly is. Yeah.
So it's just another service that we've been able to provide. We are a private pay agency. So unfortunately, the van services are also private pay. However, the prices are very accommodating. When people give us a phone call, they can't believe that, round trip is included in mileage and wait time, because typically if CRT brings them everything, is an additional charge, whereas ours is one charge, and it makes it more accommodating financially for the seniors who are already struggling financially in our community. And we can take long-term care insurance for our services that we provide for our clients. So that is one great thing because they're spending so much money into these long-term care insurances, and then eventually they get put to good use when it's needed.
Yeah, and which is good to hear because we've also heard over the years how sometimes people have been maybe surprised whether or not long-term care will cover some things. The other thing is I know that at one point they bumped up across the board, and I think the Commonwealth of Massachusetts made the insurance companies do this. They had to bump up the premiums because the back end cost was becoming so high that the premiums and the insurance companies were defaulting at one point. So people are paying a good price for those premiums over the years, and it needs to be used properly. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Tina Bordeaux says, sounds like a great service and need more of that around here. Thank you for all you do. So
Thank you.
that's from Tina. And okay. The other thing is people need to work for money, people, no one wants to work for free. So you have a philosophy on that. And I think, if people look at a business, if you pay and you're a family and you pay a home care agency to take care of mom or dad, you're paying a certain hourly rate.
Mhm.
And that hourly rate's probably pretty high. I mean, depending on the agency and the services being provided. But then there's a difference between what that rate is and then what the actual caregiver is making. So, what is that gap? And then people understand, okay, if they talk to the caregiver, and maybe the caregiver probably shouldn't tell them what they're making, but anyway, we'll put that aside. But if the bigger that gap is, that is something to think about because the rate that someone is working for may reflect on the quality of care that their loved one is receiving.
Absolutely agreed. So staffing, like you said, is a huge issue that a lot of people have faced here, and not just here, pretty nationwide. But one of the things that I really like to let my staff know and my clients and their families is that to me, it's not about the money. It's really about the quality of care that they're receiving. And they deserve to have the best care that anyone can provide for them. They deserve that. And so, granted, our business is still a baby. It's 2.5 years old at this point.
That's 2.5 years longer than many people have ever had the guts to
Yeah.
do. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
But with that being said, we have decided to charge our clients in the community less than the bigger agencies that we are competing against. And yes, that does take a financial backlash on our business in terms of its growth. But if we're paying our employees a really great pay because of the care that they're providing to our seniors, then to me, it's worth losing a few dollars from my paycheck to give them a good paycheck for everything that they're doing for our seniors. I do pay my employees more than some of the other agencies in the area. So that's one thing that we have different also with the other bigger agencies is we're not looking for a dollar sign. We're looking for, them to stay in their home as long as possible. What is going to keep them safe and healthy and clean and sanitary. And my staff are held to a very high standard. We background check everybody. And then after that, they go through a training process with me and my manager, who's an LPN, and we expect them to be on time. Don't leave when you say you're supposed to be there. We have an app that tracks their location, so they can't just yeah, it is. So they can't just say that they're there and really not
I
there.
gotta tell you, Cara wanted to put one of those on me.
Yeah, right.
Oh no. Come on,
Oh,
that's funny. That's
It is funny.
Wait, you put a GPS on me?
People that do that.
Oh, really?
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, hey, listen, if you're doing what you got to do and you're doing it right, then
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you're looking at the long term because if you're looking at that whole amount of revenue coming in and the whole volume coming in, many people could be looking at that and saying, geez, like I could really, make a lot here. And if I shave a little here, I could make more, put in my pocket. But what you're doing is literally taking less in your pocket to sort of build the business. And then, if you have loyal workers
Absolutely.
and that's what you're really developing, that's really working for the long term.
Yeah. And our goal is to be a very successful agency, just like everybody else. We want to have the care for as many clients in the community as safely as possible. And I would love to grow and I would love to continue this journey. However, my growth, I want it to be very, short. I don't want it to get big too quick because when you allow it to get too big too quick is when the quality of care decreases. And if we're able to, slowly by slowly raise the amount of clients that we have in our, you know, business bucket per se, then that's great. I don't want it to get to a point where these people are not having a caregiver available when there's a call out or when the client is unsafe at home because I don't have enough employees to staff. But it just looks better in my pocket saying that I have 24 clients as opposed to 15. And even though I'm taking a financial hardship to that, the clients are the ones who are reaping the benefits of it.
Right.
And ultimately, that's the most important.
And Jonathan Schwartz says, congratulations and welcome, Renee. And Chris Gregory, our dear friend, says, hi, John and Renee and Cara. And so being a small business owner, and we're all small business owners here, it takes guts. And I want Cara to weigh in on this too, because Cara, recently left her position as a teacher to do this and be a small business owner. So it tell me about that leap a little bit.
I mean, you make that decision and it's not, you don't, it takes a lot to make that decision. It took me a few years to really come to grips with the fact that I wasn't going to be able to dive into my business full time. I was teaching takes up a lot of time. And so I finally made that decision, but it's a lot of work. And
Sure
you
is.
have to, it's like 24/7, in a way, but it's definitely in a person's soul
Yes.
for sure to want to be an entrepreneur. And you're constantly learning and you're constantly trying to think of innovative ways to serve your clients. And, and it's a lot of fun too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it is very hard to leave a job that you've been doing
Yeah.
for so long, that you're so passionate about. Leaving nursing full time, doing the direct patient care, I should say, was extremely hard for me in the beginning. And for the first 2 years of the business, I allowed myself to completely not work. I did nothing but eat, breathe, sleep business 24/7. And it is really a great analogy that your business is your baby,
Yeah.
because every little milestone that business makes, it feels like the most rewarding
Mhm.
thing that you could ever be going through. And each day when the business does something bigger or better, or we get a new client, or we get a new client testimonial, or we have a new community referral from somebody saying how, great of the care that we're performing for their neighbor, and just thank you. Like, those little things make every part so worth it. And but financially, that's something that we all are
Yeah.
trying to focus on in our life. And so the business, like we mentioned, I have taken a full-time job in addition to the full-time business job,
Mhm.
just so that I could financially help continue to make the business grow slowly,
Yeah.
while also loving my business and the clients that I take care of for my own business, and being the own manager, perspective that I want to be for everyone, in addition to doing the direct patient care and practicing my nursing skills at the same time. And it has been rough, to say the least, on my sleep cycle,
Yeah.
but it has been extremely worth it and rewarding. And I've gotten to a point where I don't need to do this other full-time job at the moment, because I want to focus on the continual small growth of the business and everything that
Yeah.
we can offer to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a cool place to be able to do that. So thanks for clarifying. And Dolores Wright says, "Hey everyone, hey
Dolores.
joining in on the conversation." And I do know that there is music tonight at the sideline, so some of our friends are over there as well. But they said they'd be tuning in as well. But maybe we'll head over there after the
Yeah, we
show.
haven't been in a while.
We haven't been over there to the sideline.
Something to help the nerves.
Renee, you want to meet us over the sideline? After, so what were you nervous to come on the show?
I was very nervous. Any opportunity that I can talk about my business, I love it, because, we are still new. So a lot of people are still learning about the name of the business out in the community. And I love the business. There's really nothing more that I could imagine myself doing. And the thing is, I went for a nursing career. I didn't go for a business degree. So the fact that I am loving doing the business aspect while doing the nursing aspect is, it's kind of metaphorical.
Yeah.
But I love it. And I think I was mostly nervous because if I make a mistake, you can't edit it.
Well,
And I noticed that
we can edit for we can edit for
Great.
we can
You're
edit for
doing
the
great.
version after, just not the live version, because we're pretty live here. It's about as live as it gets. But looking at that, it's really easy, because talking about this whole thing, talking about your business, it's really, really easy to talk about something you're passionate about. And I can tell you, I've interviewed a lot of people, and you can tell the people who are passionate about what they do. And those are easy interviews, because not only do people know what they're talking about because they're so passionate about it, therefore they know the details, but it just emanates. So I think you're there with that. So do as many interviews as you possibly can.
Yeah. You can't tell you're nervous at all.
oh, good.
So Lynn Fisher Knoll says, "Renee, do you hire part-time workers?"
So yes, we hire per diem, part-time, and full-time.
All right. So there you have that. Chris Gregory says, "Renee took care of my mother's while she was still at home. She's great." So Chris, you got some kudos from
Hi, Chris.
from Chris Gregory, and Dolores Wright says, "Congratulations on everything." So yeah. So hey, listen, I also at some point, you begin to really develop a reputation. And word of mouth is so important here in the Berkshires, and I'm pretty sure that it's important everywhere. We just know the Berkshires really well. That you can advertise, you can do this, you can do that, but at the end of the day, most people are really going to simply take a recommendation. I mean, you can see a newspaper ad, a digital ad, a TV ad, but most people will say, "Oh, you know what? Sally, her mom was at a nursing facility. Which one did she choose?" And and that's usually how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've done different advertisements, in the Berkshire Eagle, and it's really hard to tell how many people are seeing it,
Yeah.
if people are really noticing the ads, no matter what size, ad in the page that you pick and pay for. But the thing that has been extremely beneficial to us being a small local business is word of mouth. If we go into a nursing home, and the good thing for me is because I've worked in so many facilities, people know me just by having a good reputation in their facility when I worked with them,
Right.
and knew that I was so passionate about what I was doing, and that I would always put the client care before anything else. So that's always had a kind of a little upper hand on me. But definitely, having our Facebook page and seeing family members or friends of loved ones comment on there and just talk about the great things that we've done for their loved one, or the great things that we've done in the community. Like recently we had the big community luau up at Anoda Lake, and everybody loved that. There was so many people talking about how great that was, and how it was an amazing experience to be able to learn about a new home care agency, but also
You hosted that?
Yes, we
That's fun.
did. Yes.
That's great.
A few weeks ago up at Anoda Lake, and we had about 60, 70 people, which is
Wow.
incredible. Because we had our 1 year anniversary party, and we probably had 20 or 30 people. So the fact that we're just continuing to grow, and just because people in the community said, "Hey, I know this great girl who has a home care agency, and she's trying to do the best she can for the seniors and give them as many great resources for the community." It's really incredible when people are saying great things about me and my staff, because then we're really noticing like those specific comments from our community that we are doing what we should, and we are right where we need to be. It's really special.
Tell me about that conversation when you first get the referral. And I will, as having worked as a liaison for healthcare in the community, those direct referrals from home care, from health care agencies, sometimes it's nursing facilities, sometimes it's directly from the hospital, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the most important referrals, and the most important things in healthcare, for sure. So you get that referral. Tell me about that conversation with the family member. And I think there's percentages out there that many, a high percentage of these individuals are usually the eldest daughter, if there is a daughter. That's usually who you're having the conversation with when it comes to providing care for mom or dad, or grandma or grandpa. So tell me how that goes.
So honestly, it's sometimes not even family members who will call and require information or request information about our services. Sometimes it's a neighbor, or a cousin's friend that are even related to the family, but they've heard of us and they want to know information. And sometimes it's really hard for family members to accept that their loved ones need care, or that the loved one's health is declining and they definitely need that a bit of assistance. So sometimes it actually has to take somebody who's removed from the situation to call and get information about our services. The funny thing is, when people call and request information about the services, one of the first things that I hear from pretty much everyone is, "You sound so young. Are you even old enough to have a business?" And it's really funny because, I do sound really young, and I am young, but my heart is
How old
where
are
it
you,
needs to be.
if you don't mind me asking? Am I able to ask you that? Is that improper?
I mean, I'm young, so
Okay.
it's okay. But I just turned 28. So I started the business right when I was like 25 when we really started the process to get it up and going, and 26 when we first
Start a
launched.
business though.
Yeah.
When we had the restaurant, I was early 30s, like 31, 32. So yeah.
It was all or nothing. I mean, I had, like I said, no business background, and I originally started the business with a business partner who did have the business background. So having the business background and the nursing background, we thought that we would be able to make the greatest business. But as a lot of people know, sometimes you can't be in business with everyone who you think you can.
Right. Yep.
So in November of 2023, the business came entirely mine.
Mhm.
So I am the sole owner operator of the business.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep, that happens. That
Yeah.
happens. And in fact, I've experienced something similar to that. My business originally was a partnership, and we agreed ultimately to part ways just because lives were changing, and opportunities were changing, and sometimes that just happens. So, but you needed to get there, and maybe you needed that initial confidence
Absolutely.
of someone else to start it.
Mhm.
But once you were in it, you were in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's amazing.
it's been a great journey.
That is. So, looking at that now, you were what? How old were you with the business? It was
I think I was like 30, between 30, maybe 31, and then I was 34 when we closed. So yeah, but I was, I had a lot more energy then, I feel like, for certain things, you know what I mean? Like, just I was way more of like a people pleaser back then, which kind of isn't the best thing when you own a restaurant, but I've kind of grown up and like,
there's a lot of excess energy that goes into people pleasing.
yes.
A lot
Yeah.
of wasted energy.
Yeah. And when you own a business like a restaurant or whatever, you can't please everyone.
No.
You just can't, so that took a lot of my energy. I think now if I went back and did that, it would look a lot different.
Well, the other thing is you are smarter. Now, some people are very smart when they're young, like look at Renee, or she's you're 28 and you have to get it. But like, I think that's something that does come with experience, is that just utilizing your energy more intelligently, because when you're, often when you're young, you just think you can take on the world.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I mean, you were exerting a ton of energy, a ton of time, maybe, but maybe not refining it quite as much.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah.
Is that
probably? Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. Maybe. So, so again, anyone who comments, or who likes and shares. So everyone who has done, and actually for both of our channels, because this is going live. Sometimes it does this, and I'm not sure why it does it, and sometimes why it doesn't. It's live on the podcast page, but it's also on the live on the 180 Media page. So we're following the comments on both of those. But if you comment on either one of those live feeds, you are eligible for a free facial from Trish Descanio.
Yeah.
And what's the name of her business again?
Serenity Facials.
Serenity Now. Is she? It's called Serenity Now.
Serenity Facials.
Serenity Now.
Serenity Facials.
Serenity Now. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Third, no, I'm not. People, great. I'm gonna screw.
You're being silly.
Someone's gonna be really mad at me.
You are being so silly. No,
people are calling her up saying your thing is called Serenity Now.
I don't even know. That's what her business cards say, but I don't even think it's just call Trish. Because Trish gives the best facials. It's just call Trish. Call Trish.
I would say that businesses like that, and not whole Heart Homecare, because but smaller businesses like that, people often don't even know the name of the business.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, it's Bob. Who Bob does carpets. Call Bob. Here's his number. They wouldn't know that it's called.
Yeah, my mom started working. She worked for different places. She worked at Cranwell, and she worked at a salon in town for a little while, and then she just realized, she could go off on her own and do that. So she's been doing that on her own for years, and then she semi-retired when COVID hit, because obviously she could not offer the facials during that time. And then she decided, you know what? I think I'll make a comeback. So
don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
I'm full of them.
I'm full of them. Mom on. So Mom, if you're watching,
you have an open invitation to the blend, but she's always been invited.
So, and my mom was a nurse for 35 years. She worked at Berkshire Medical Center and worked 3 East Ortho for a really long time, 3 to 11 shift, and then moved into, I think, mother baby, and then ended her career at pre-admission testing. So she retired when she was there. pre-admission testing.
And
So-
Dolores, right, says, I'm very interested in your program. That is Renee's program. And so, so how people, you have a website for sure. So what is that website?
So our website is Whole Heart HC as in homecare.com. And we try and keep it up to date with as many things as we can, but sometimes the website kind of gets pushed off to the side with all the other
Yeah.
major things. So we're trying to juggle throughout the day.
Very understood. Very understood. I mean, listen, that's definitely not the first and foremost on people's minds all the time is managing a website. But as long as as long as the basics are there for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, looking at that, so you do have an office right now. It's downtown. Maybe you're going to move one day at some point.
Yeah, that would be nice. So right now we are very central to Pittsfield. So we are at 150 North Street, Suite 25. So if anybody's familiar with North Street, it is in the Shipton building on the second floor. And we do have an office number and our work mobile phone that I am carrying with me and answering until all hours of the night. So
How does that work?
Yeah.
So because it was funny, I was meeting with you and I said, oh, who does your scheduling? Because I'm used to home, there's someone who's dedicated to scheduling, but you probably do a lot of that yourself.
I do. So 90% of the things that need to get done in the business, I'm managing.
Mhm.
However, I've been able to delegate a lot to my LPN, who's, my manager full time, who helps me out during the day. She's incredible, very well versed in home
Mhm.
care and what needs to be done for our clients. But she does a lot of, the invoicing. She helps me with some of the marketing events. She helps with a lot of marketing, different ideas that
Mhm.
could help us. She helps with a lot of the client admissions. So pretty much any of the manager roles she's able to help me with. I do have a scheduler who is, she works pretty much part-time. She has 2 little kids at home, so it's not the easiest job for her to be able to manage full-time when they're all over her all day.
Yeah.
But she does great too. She's always there. The 3 of us have a group text, and I don't think that everything stops going off 90% of the time because we're all trying to communicate with each other and make
Yeah.
sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and then over time, you may find some efficiencies, at some point, with different software or what have you. But that all happens with growth and
Absolutely.
being able to intelligently scale. If you're able to do that, and I think that's the real that's the real key.
Thing that people used to call, and it's completely different for your business, but people used to call me to schedule appointments and they would message me in Messenger, call my phone number, text me, whatever. And I couldn't keep it straight. So I finally put Calendly on my website. And so people go in, it has to be 24 hours in advance. And there's a little message that they get. And then it goes directly onto my calendar. So it's like amazing.
Yeah, my Google Calendar is kind of all over the place. It's not the easiest to manage most days, but
Yeah.
we're getting there. And the app that we use for monitoring employees clocking in and out and the hours, it does include the scheduling app on there too, which is great. We can manage the schedule that way. But one of the things that I do know that's difficult is our employees pick and choose which one of the managers they're going to talk to that day. So then the 3 of us are always trying to say, oh, yeah, this one said this and this one said that, but they said this to me. So that is definitely an issue of the future that needs to be ironed out in a more efficient manner. But, for right now, it works. And, we'll just keep doing what works until we have the ability to grow and do something that works even better, more efficiently. But anytime, that all takes money.
And that's the best thing about business. It's always evolving.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's always a new challenge.
Yes.
Especially as you grow, because everybody wants growth, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, that presents a whole other level of
But I think you're
challenge.
doing it in a smart way.
Trying.
Really. Yeah. Just, a gradual progression. And yeah.
And then on that, so we had a question about people working part-time, per diem, et cetera, et cetera. So what would you say to caregivers out there who may be interested in working for your agency and having a conversation with you? What would you want to say to them?
So one of the things that we can accommodate really well for our caregivers is they have the ability to pretty much create their own schedule. And I know a lot of people in home care say that, create your own schedule, but what we do for our clients is when we do the admission, we allow them to choose the days and times that work best for them. And then once we know what's going to work best for the family and for the client, then we schedule a caregiver to go in there. So we constantly have a caregiver available because they all have such a wide availability with their own
Yeah.
personal schedules, with their kids, with their school, with their other jobs, life basically. And we
Mhm.
allow them to, still be able to work for something that they could be passionate about, if it's home care, if it's geriatric population, whatever it may be, but also still maintaining their life outside of work. And that's, I think, one thing that a lot of employees other places struggle with is that employers don't understand that you have a life outside of work. Work is not
Right.
what you are dead. Like you didn't like sign your name in blood when you're,
Right.
applying. And I feel like people need to like understand that. Like,
Yeah.
I am somebody who's been employed in many different places. And I know that like I have my business outside of my work. And if you can't understand that that's my priority, then I'm still
And that also it also means, hey, when I'm off of work, I'm off of work.
Right.
exactly.
I'm not
yes.
working, so don't email me.
Right.
Don't, and obviously some positions are different. And if you're a business owner, well, gosh, then all bets are off because, you got to do what you got to do. But if you're an employee for a company, I think we've over the years have really pushed this culture of just working to the grindstone and not respecting time off.
Right.
And slowly
What was I doing every Sunday morning, bright and early?
what were you doing?
Or not
Lesson
doing?
plans.
No, not doing.
You
My email.
email.
The email. Remember the email.
That's the thing. Like when you're direct, we call it in the business, your direct report is messaging you on a Sunday, preparing you for your Monday morning. I don't think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's
the last day of the weekend.
Yeah.
So I had to train myself to not
read your email.
look at it
Mhm.
until Monday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, Renee, get rid of your email. I can wait until morning. Like you need sleep. Yeah. It's hard. You you get
Yeah.
attached to like your texts or your emails, and it's not healthy, but like
Yeah.
that's just what you get accustomed to doing because you don't want to miss a single thing. You
Yeah.
want it to be just right all the time.
And I would say I would always check my email. If a parent emailed me or a
Mhm.
student emailed me, I was on it.
Yeah.
Didn't matter when.
Mhm.
But otherwise, no.
It's- yeah.
It could wait. If it wasn't a parent or a student, it could wait.
And I think it's also important to recognize that when the owner is a caregiver, and no disrespect to people who are managers and in working in all different levels of healthcare, but when you have someone who literally right now is providing care to people, in addition to being a manager and an owner of a home care agency, I think that gives some real great credibility there because you're still doing that every single day, in addition to running the building, so running the business. So I think that is a different dynamic than in some cases where a lot of great people, but there are managers in a lot of healthcare companies who have never provided direct care before. No disrespect.
Yeah. I have a lot of clients and their families say to me, "Oh my God, Renee, I've seen you more times this week than the caregiver." And that's because if there's vacations or there's call outs because people are sick or their kids are sick, I will be the first one there. My client deserves to have the hours and the care that they are paying for. So I will be there to provide that care. And I have never, because I think I started out as a CNA, being an RN, I worked my way up the, healthcare ladder basically. And I have never felt as though just because I'm an RN, anything is looked down upon.
Right.
CNAs are so critical to any business, in my opinion. And I will work as a CNA and I'll enjoy every second of it, whether I'm working as the CNA or the RN for the day. It's what you got to do for the business, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you're viewing this live video, either on the podcast page or the 180 Media page, either way, we'll track that. If you have a comment and also like the videos, and do me a favor, if you're watching and you haven't liked the video yet, like it. It helps the algorithm as we push out the video.
The more reactions, likes, hearts,
thumbs
up,
that.
hearts, whatever. It pushes it out so more people see it. So,
And it puts you in the running for a free facial.
yes,
Now, you've gotten a facial before.
a lot of them.
Renee,
Yeah.
have you gotten a facial before?
I mean, no.
No.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
they are
can I just
really-
automatically be in the drawing for
I
this.
think you should be in the
But you can come when we're gonna have an opening and we'll have you come to that. But
Okay.
As
As long as it's free.
I mean, they are amazing. I have my mom. I never had a facial, and then when my mom became an esthetician, she would practice on us, and so I was just like, I've never been to anyone else. I've only ever gone to my mom, and I haven't been in a while though. We've just been really busy, but and then my sister's also an esthetician. She works at a couple different salons. And eventually I'd like her to come in with us because she does the dermaplaning. If you've ever heard of that.
That's all. I
Yeah,
want
she
done
does the
right now.
dermaplaning too, along with
What
her
is
facials.
dermaplaning?
It's
like a little razor for your face.
Oh my.
But it's like,
yeah, it's like a razor, but you have to like do it like
But not
down,
not like a razor.
not like
Not
how a
like-
man would
not like-
shave. No,
because I drew a plane this morning.
yeah, no, it's not a
Well,
razor
if I
like
put a
that.
Shadow.
you'll have
Yeah.
to
Next
give
to
me her
my-
number.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, no, it's not a razor, honey. It's like a little blade. I've never actually had it done, but they say your makeup goes on better and whatever. And my sister's always after me. She's like, "You need to come in," and I want a derma. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm always."
Yeah.
Lynn says she deserves a facial.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
she's talking about Renee. Is
Yeah.
that who you're talking about? I think Cara deserves a
I mean,
facial.
I feel like
yeah.
we both
We
do,
both
right?
do. Yeah, we do.
and duroplaning.
Dermaplaning.
Dermaplaning. Jesus. Oh man. I don't know what you're talking about, but no, I've
Yeah.
heard of
I'll
that.
show you. It's on TikTok. Do you ever see are you on TikTok at all?
Yeah. of
They do
course.
this thing, the spray.
Yes, that cream.
It's like a spray thing and they spray it and your face looks so hairy. And then you take the thing and it just like scrapes the hair and the dead skin off. And it's like satisfying to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Are you into that? Are you into those satisfying videos? Like the ones where they like pop zits or were they?
Nothing scares me at this point.
Yeah.
You know, being a nurse, I
Yeah.
could watch.
So
kill
Cara will
my
watch
mind.
these TikToks
Look over at me.
and it'll be
I'm
like I don't know, like carving off like something off of a toe or something.
Yeah.
Or like getting like,
Yeah.
there's a ingrown hair.
the foot
Ingrown hair.
doctor. Sometimes I watch the foot doctor.
I love
or
those
pimple
videos where they
popper.
get the earwax out of the ear.
Yes,
Those
yes.
little-
Yeah, he'll look over and I'm like,
What in the world
yeah.
is on your algorithm on TikTok? Like, I don't want to enter into your algorithm. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but hey, listen, hey, different strokes for different. folks,
Yep.
You know, it is what it is. So did it?
I've been never.
Did I-
It's the blend. Welcome to the
Are
blend.
you laughing at me? Renee's like this too.
So funny. Different strokes for different.
Oh man. So well on that, hey, love you everybody. Again,
Great to be back.
it's great to be back. And I think
We are in the process of moving everything from Crawford Square over to the 222 professional building. We probably won't be ready for, I don't know.
yeah, next Tuesday. for
Probably be another 2 weeks, I would
yeah, 'cause
say.
we still have to figure out internet over there. But
Yeah.
yeah, so anyone who wants to help us,
Yeah.
you got a truck, help us out. But no, we're okay. We're okay. We don't have that much.
Yeah, there's
stuff.
not a lot.
We don't have huge heavy equipment here. You have your bed, for your
Chairs,
energy work,
table.
chairs, just kind of like furniture and the equipment. But it's pretty light. There's one couch, but it's not a heavy one. So, but
Yeah. So we'll be back in a couple weeks.
we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And Renee, thank you so much.
No,
It
thank
is
you.
it's wholehearthomecare.com. Yes, is that
WholeHeartHC.
Whole Heart HC, and just Google it. It's also there. So wholehearthc.com. And Renee Saville, a great pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We love introducing new incredible people to the community and our community here.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy for you,
Thank you.
because it's just I know this business very well, and your approach to it is really smart, and I think it's going to be a huge success over time, and it is already. But I think over time it's going to be wonderful, and you'll be you'll be doing well. So so we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Chris Gregory says, great to hear you all. Well, great to hear you, Chris. And we'll be meeting as well. But love y'all. We'll see you soon in our new space. And this is going to be our last episode here
Yes.
in the old space.
Yeah.
So that is that. So everyone have a wonderful evening.
Have a great night.
And thanks for tuning in.